We'll start out by going back to your last fight. I just got to ask you kind of how you felt. I remember watching it play out. I could see like the frustration on your face. So kind of what was the thought after that, and kind of what lessons did you take out of it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously no one likes to lose, but I was just really upset about that loss because multiple reasons. You know, it was my first time losing consecutively. You know, I've lost before in the past, and you know, you learn, you go back to the drawing board, and you become a better fighter. But it was just like, oh my God, like I felt like I deserved a win. I trained so hard, and she was coming off a long layoff, and I had just analyzed her and critiqued her, and I just thought I was just a more well-rounded, just a better fighter. And then unfortunately, I got submitted, and then, you know, I didn't tap initially to the armbar, which is my stubbornness. But when I did tap, she had got up and, you know, celebrated. Well, okay, fine, you know. But then I was so like in my own little world about, you know, like kind of down about the loss that I didn't realize that I guess she had also said some like controversial, mean type things afterwards. Like she wanted to break my arm or something like that. And I'm like, what did I do to you besides, you know, like come to work? so that, and then the fact that I did have to take a couple months off because I had to get a little PRP therapy, which is nothing invasive, not surgery or anything like that. So it's just crappy altogether. You don't get your win bonus and all that. You know, your stock goes down as a fighter, and you know, people are like, oh, she's on a losing streak now, and I'm like, pfft. So I didn't like that for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I mean, dealing with the consecutive losses for the first time, how's that been for you? Has it been like a mental challenge? How do you deal with that?
I mean, when I say I've never lost consecutively, that means professionally. So, you know, I'm 5-3 now. I had lost my UFC debut to Raquel Pennington, and that was heartbreaking for me because it was like, here I am on the big show, and you lose, you know. And then I had to really ask myself, am I ready to be on this level? And then I won, you know, a few back-to-back, and it was good. I felt like I showed myself that I'm ready to be here. Losing consecutively now, I'm no stranger to it because unfortunately in my amateur career, I had 9 amateur fights and I had lost consecutively. I had lost 3 times in a row one time, and I was about to hang it up because I'm like, maybe this is not the job for me. So I've been there, and it's a dark place, and you get depressed because I feel like fighters in general, we're such emotionally charged people. You know, when we're happy, we're happy. When we're sad, we're sad. When we want to fight, we want to fight. So I'm dealing with it good because of the previous experience in my amateur career, but it's been rough. I can't lie. You know, there's added pressure to win, you know, even more, to really put on a show. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to use that as fuel for the fire. And I think that's where I shine. If there's pressure, then I do better sometimes, most of the time. So
no doubt. Well,
yeah.
Obviously, you know, that can fuel change. It can fuel you getting better. So what has been the primary focus? I think you made some changes in your camp in preparation.
Yeah, you know, it was really, it's weird to say this because there's that quote like, oh, sports are 80% mental, right? But I never really thought that. I was like, no, you go and you work hard and you train your body, and you know, then when you get into the cage, your body's going to go into its natural reaction, and that's what you're going to do. If you're thinking about, you know, let's say worst case scenario, your dog dies or your grandma dies or you break up or whatever, like that's not going to be a deciding factor in how hard you punch or if you slip or if your double's good, you know, like that doesn't matter. But with my last 2 fights, some mental issues came, some emotional issues came, and I was still training my butt off and I was still doing all the right things, diet-wise, but my mind wasn't there. It wasn't the place where I had been in the past with my wins. And so I kind of put the two together, and I realized that there is a strong correlation between the physical side and the mental side. I've never worked with a sports psychologist or anything like that, but I had to kind of learn the hard way, which is the theme of my life. So the difference in this camp has just been, I did this camp what made me happy. And sometimes that meant not training as often. Sometimes that meant eating an extra cheat meal. Sometimes that meant just, you know, enjoying time with my friends. Something that my first pro coach, Mark Munoz, told me a long time ago. He said, a good fighter is a happy fighter. And I mean, I'm 30 now, and I think a lot of older fighters, not that I'm super old, but a lot of fighters have been doing this for a while. They say, you know, if you're not enjoying it, like, why are you doing it? So to answer your question, the biggest thing I've changed is my mentality. You know, I'm happy, and if I'm not happy, then I find something that makes me happy. Still train hard, still eat right, and I'm obviously, game planning and doing tweaks here and there to make myself a better fighter overall. But the biggest thing is just happiness.
So does it feel different now? I mean, we're a couple days out from a fight. I mean, do you feel different right now than you have in previous fight weeks?
So I'll tell you, I told my other corner earlier, I'm like, oh God, I feel guilty because I'm the least amount worried and stressed that I've ever been for a fight. I'm like, oh, is this bad? Because I heard this like a long time ago. Someone said, the minute you stop being nervous for a fight is the minute you should quit fighting. And I'm like, I mean, I'm getting there, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean on fight night I'm going to be like, no big deal, But I'm happy. So yeah, so there's a difference. It's a really big difference. I've got one of my best friends, Carla Esparza, is going to be in my corner for this camp. It's like, who doesn't want your best friend standing behind you when you go to war? Like, I mean, I think everybody would, unless your best friend's like a weenie. But so yeah, I'm in a really good place right now.
Very cool. What do you think about the matchup itself? When you look at how you two play out, what do you think about it?
So Beck is, I'll give her props. She's a tough cookie, She's really tenacious, and she's very aggressive, and she's gonna come forward, and she's there to fight. She's not gonna run around the cage. But as far as like a skill set, I think she's a little one-dimensional, and I was talking trash or whatever, but I just feel like I'm definitely more well-rounded on the ground, even striking. I know she fancies herself a boxer, but I mean, I've seen it, and I think it's like more street brawler, if anything, and that can get you places because it's MMA and it takes one punch, right? But I think that if you take a more skilled striker, more technical striker, and a street brawler, and you put them together, I think the more skilled fighter is always going to win, and that's me. So, and then you sprinkle some wrestling, you sprinkle some jiu-jitsu on there, and some cool kicks. I mean, I just think it's a really good matchup for me. I've said this in past interviews. I'm surprised she took it. I'm gonna be the bigger, stronger, faster, more skilled fighter, and maybe she's just one of those people that's just like, I'll fight anyone, anywhere, which is, cool, tough mentality, but it's not gonna get you very far when it comes to making money and racking up wins.
Nice. She talks about, she, as you said, she's tenacious, she's scrappy. I mean, so do you expect to go in there and it to be like, a scrappy, kind of hard back and forth fight, or do you think you can dominate her?
So interesting, we talked about Carla. Carla fought her in the past, which is crazy because Carla comes up to here on me, right? But and they were at a different weight class. But Carla's like, dude, she's a hard person to finish, and she is. I've seen the tape, and girls have got her in positions where I'm like, oh, it's over. How does she get out of that? So it's gonna be a war, but I do believe I will finish her. I've been working really hard this camp on things that I think she's just not gonna be ready for. But yeah, I believe I'll finish her for sure.
Knowing that you're kind of evolving as a fighter and just a different approach, I mean, do you feel like a win here is critical? I mean, is this like a must win? I guess every fight is kind of a must win in the UFC, but I mean, is this like extra critical, or is this more about like having this new process and having this new attitude? I mean, can you be successful even if you don't necessarily win?
I mean, like I said before, my new focus is more about being like a happy fighter, just enjoying the journey, enjoying the moment, and not really putting that pressure on yourself, like, oh my God, okay, if I don't win this one, that's 3 in a row. If I don't win this one, I won't get the money. If I don't win this one, maybe I should go back to a different weight class. That's not the right way of thinking. The right way of thinking is okay, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna give it my all, and if, let's say, worst case scenario, which I don't even think about that, I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna win. But let's just say worst case scenario, let's say I got cut. I'm not going anywhere. Is that it? I'm like, oh, I'm hanging it up. No, I would fight my way back here in a heartbeat. And no one wants to go down to the consolation bracket and come back, but I'll do it if I have to. So I'm not a quitter, and I don't think I'm really in jeopardy because I know on Saturday I'm gonna rack up another win. But it's a new weight class, I'm here in Brooklyn. Everything I got my people that I love behind me. Everything just feels like it's in the right place.